Hello, welcome to Dungeoneers Pack, a channel bringing you player-focused discussions and character guides for 5th edition Dungeons & Dragons. My name is Josh, thank you for watching. Unearthed Arcana article Subclasses Part 4 introduced 2 subclasses centered around the undead. One of those subclasses was the Undead Patron for the Warlock, that has their power derived from liches, vampire lords, or other powerful undead entities. In this video, I'm going to go over the mechanics of the Undead Patron Warlock, my opinion on it, and how you can fit the subclass into the various official 5th edition settings. If you want to check out my thoughts on the College of Spirits Bard from the same UA, you can click on the icon in the corner or check out the link in the description below. Before we get started, an easy way to support this channel is to like, share, and subscribe. Also, hit that notification bell to know when new videos are up. You can also support us directly at our Patreon by becoming a Dungeoneer. When you become a Dungeoneer, you get access to an exclusive role in a private chat in Discord, access to all the character build scripts, and you will be able to listen to an audio-only version of each week's video before it goes up. You can find a link to the Patreon in the description below. With that said, let's get started. First thing we get at level 1 is an expanded spell list. For first level spells, we get Bane and False Life. Second level spells, we get Blindness, Deafness, and Phantasmal Force. For third level spells, we get Speak with Dead and Phantom Steed. Fourth level spells, we get Death Ward and Greater Invisibility, and for 5th level spells, we get Anti-Life Shell and Cloud Kill. Every spell on this list suits the intended flavor, but there is one omission that should be on this list, and that is Animate Dead. Animate Dead did appear on the expanded spell list for Warlocks in the Variant Class Features UA, so maybe that's why it was omitted. Either way, this was a missed opportunity. Another thing to note, many of the spells on this expanded spell list are similar to the Undying Warlock Patron's expanded spell list. These subclasses do have some conceptual overlap, but I will get more into that later. The next level 1 ability is Form of Dread. As a bonus action, we transform and gain the following benefits. We gain temporary hit points equal to 1d10 plus our Warlock level. Once during one of our turns, when we hit a creature with an attack, that creature can make a Wisdom saving throw, and if they fail, they become frightened of us. And, at last, we are also immune to the Frightened condition. We can transform a number of times equal to our proficiency bonus and regain all uses after a long rest. This ability allows us to take the form of whatever scary idea that we can come up with. It can also allow us to play undead character concepts that we have not yet been able to play in 5th edition. For example, a specter or vampire. Activating this ability could be the character taking on their true undead form. While in this form, we are able to impose the Frightened condition to give disadvantage on an enemy's attack roll. This is awesome, especially since we can do this from range with Eldritch Blast. This is a major thing to be able to do in the early levels. With hit points being so low, this could dramatically increase the survivability of the party, especially for the party frontliners. At level 6, we get the Grave Touched ability. With this ability, we don't need to eat, drink, or breathe. When we hit a creature with an attack roll and roll damage against them, we can replace the damage type with necrotic damage and can roll an additional damage die when determining the necrotic damage the target takes. Grave Touch is a straight upgrade to our average damage per round. This is only bad if we are in combat with creatures that are resistant or immune to necrotic damage. But since this is optional every time we hit with an attack, we only need to change the damage type as needed. At level 10, we get the Mortal Husk ability. We gain resistance to necrotic damage, but when Form of Dread is active, we become immune to necrotic damage. When we are reduced to 0 hit points, we can cause our body to explode. Creatures within 30 feet of us take necrotic damage equal to 2d10 plus our Warlock level. We then revive with 1 hit point and gain 1 level of exhaustion. Once we revive this way, we can't do this again until we finish 1d4 worth of long rest. Mortal Husk turns us into a walking bomb. This is a double-edged sword because the explosion doesn't discriminate between friend or foe, but it does allow us to get back up, saving us from death. The ability reminds me of enemies found in games like Diablo or Doom who exploded upon death. The exploding death mechanic takes the spotlight, but the resistance and immunity to necrotic damage isn't something to overlook. Personally, if I was playing this subclass, this is not an ability that I would be looking forward to getting, in large part due to being turned into a living bomb. I don't want to understate how good having a free resurrection is for a character, but being able to hurt my allies is something I want to avoid. Another direction I can see this ability taking is having this Corpse Bomb ability trigger as an action on a target corpse of our choice. With a smaller explosion radius and modified damage output, this would be something I would look forward to getting at level 10. In my version, this would come at the cost of losing that free self-resurrection. Spirit Projection is the last ability from this subclass at level 14. As an action, we project our spirit from our body. Our spirit can remain outside of our body for 1 hour or until our concentration is broken. Our spirit returns to our body, or our body magically teleports to our spirit space when the projection ends. As a spirit, we get the following benefits. We get resistance to bludgeoning, piercing, and slashing damage. We can cast conjuration and necromancy spells without the verbal, somatic, or material components. We gain a flying speed equal to our walking speed and can move through objects. If we end our turn in an object, we take 1d10 force damage. When Form of Dread is active, once during our turn, when dealing necrotic damage, we regain hit points equal to half of the amount of the necrotic damage dealt, and the ability recharges on a long rest. Spirit Projection reminds me of the ability that Doctor Strange and Professor X from the comics displayed in various stories. This ability is quite powerful when compared to other Warlock subclass abilities at this level. It just might be the most powerful level 14 ability out of all the Warlock subclasses. It provides a lot of defensive abilities, freedom of movement, and life gain on damage as long as we are using our Form of Dread in conjunction. The thing that is keeping this ability in check is that once the spirit is out of the body is defenseless. Now, how does the Undead Patron Warlock fit into 5th edition settings? For a standard fantasy setting, this is an easy shoo-in for a vampire character. There hasn't been an official vampire race added to the race lineup, but this is one way to play out that character fantasy. In Eberron, this could be an Aerenal elf granted power by the Undying Court. In Ravnica, we could be a low-level member of the Orzhov Syndicate that is in debt to someone higher up in the guild. And in Theros, this could be a champion of Erebos that was gifted powers by the god to capture the dead that have escaped the underworld. This subclass looks very fun and nails down the horror themes while not tying the abilities to any specific undead. I could see myself using this subclass in a multi-class build with a small dip into fighter in an attempt to make a Death Knight. Even though I like the subclass, there are a couple of minor issues I have with it. The first is the Undead Patron's omission of the Animate Undead spell. It seems like a big flavor miss. But considering that the class variant features UA, the expanded spell list for the Warlock did include Animate Undead, so maybe that's why it was left out. The other issue is that it shares the same space conceptually with the Undying Patron subclass. To my knowledge, this hasn't been done with any other subclass and any other class in 5th edition. Currently, the classes do have subclasses that occupy the same space conceptually, but those subclasses fall under a different class. For example, an Eldritch Knight Fighter and a Bladesinger Wizard are conceptually similar as they allow a player to play an arcane powered warrior. Mechanically though, they offer different experiences as the Eldritch Knight Fighter is martial focused and the Bladesinger is caster focused. This is not the same for the Undying and Undead Warlocks. Both will mechanically play similar by both being a subclass for the Warlock, and they both have abilities that increase survivability. The difference between the two is that the Undead Patron also offers offensive buffs that the Undying Patron is lacking. As previously mentioned, I'm wondering if this is Wizards' first attempt to address issues with the subclass by introducing a different subclass that shares similar conceptual space. If that's the case, I'm wondering what other subclasses they may be looking into to address and if the community will be receptive of this method of fixing subclasses that have missed the mark. Now I want to hear from you. What do you think of the Undead inspired subclasses? If you want to see more content like this, let me know in the comments down below. You can also find me at the Dungeoneers Pack Discord. A link to the Discord can be found in the description below. Alright, I'm out of here. Have a good one.